Happy New Year, everyone, with the Ambassador David Eby and Greg Roth. This is yours truly, Eric Laser, and this is your Sharp Squares podcast for the NFL season 2025-26. Last week, our Sharps, maybe they were sluggish during the holidays, 47.2% against the number. Medal games were 0-1, pick 5, 2-3. 3-2-1, 1-2. Sadly, only our 1-point game came through there. That puts our Sharps for the season at 48.7%. Our medal games just over that. Our pick 5 just over that, and 3-2-1, which is our saving grace this season at 54.9%. Here we go, week 18. A big one at least for Greg and me, I think is the proper English, in 3-2-1, because we do have a chance of getting in the money. EB is nodding, saying that my grammar was correct, which is a rare thing, so that's good. We've got another interesting week for you. Yeah, we do have more than one medal game, but it's still pretty interesting. And to tell you more about it, as he does almost every week, is everyone's favorite fellow degenerate, the Greg Roth.
Eric, thank you so much. Happy New Year to you, and as well, the ambassador. Happy New Year. Of course, Happy New Year to the audience and our amazing production team as well. I hope everyone has a happy and healthy 2026. We're starting the year with 4 medal games. None of them are gold. 1 of them is silver, and 3 of them are bronze. The top-rated game, it's silver. The pick is the Minnesota Vikings. They're minus 6.5, hosting the Green Bay Packers. Mike Renner, Stuckey, Kelly Stewart, Sharper Square all picked the Vikings. Will Capper disagreed and took the Packers. 3 bronze games. The top-rated bronze game is the Seattle Seahawks. They're the pick at minus 1.5. They're in San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Fabian Summer, Todd Wishnev, Cleve TA, Marco D'Angelo, and the Whale Capper all pick Seattle. Sharper Square did pick the 49ers. The second rated bronze game, the pick is the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they've been a pick 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. They're minus 7.5. They're at home taking on the Cleveland Browns. Stuckey, Cleve TA, Marco D'Angelo, Sharper Square all picked the Bengals. Nobody took Cleveland. The last medal game, bronze. Atlanta Falcons are the pick. They're minus 3. They're in New Orleans to take on the Saints. Stuckey and Gil Alexander took Atlanta. There were quite a bit of sharps on the Saints, though, in dissent. Fabian Summer, Kyle Long, Steve Fezzik, and Sharper Square. I guess I have some questions on that. 4 sharps on New Orleans, 2 sharps on the Falcons.
I got you.
It's probably, the Falcons are minus 3. It's probably all, they took it 3.5, 3, 2.5. Exactly. We've seen this movie before. So you have 4 medal games. 3-2-1's very easy. We go in order. The Vikings are the 3-point game. Bengals are the 2-point game. The Seahawks are the 1-point game. Pick 5, add our 4th medal game, the Falcons, as the 4th pick. Where do we go for our 5th game? We go to the next highest rated game this week. Not close to medal status, but the 5th highest rated game is the Rams as the pick. They're minus 7.5. They're at home taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Mackenzie Rivers, Whale Capper, and the Sharper Square podcast took the Rams. Nobody took the Cardinals. So, in recap, the Vikings minus 6.5 are silver. The Seahawks at minus 1.5. The Bengals minus 7.5. The Falcons minus 3 are bronze. The Rams fill out our pick 5. And there's your New Year's Day edition of Gold, Silver, Bronze.
Phenomenal. We have a bunch of reasonably interesting trends and highlights for the top 3 games if you want to stick around. Otherwise, you are now all dismissed. And to start us off with the trends is everyone's favorite ambassador, recently voted most valuable ambassador of the year in all different categories is Mr. David Eby.
Thank you, Eric. And it was quite an honor to win that prestigious award. Our first trend since 1990, teams already eliminated from playoff contention, playing teams still fighting for playoff spots, have gone 105, 69, and 4 against the spread in week 18 games. That's 60%. Examples this week: Saints at Buccaneers, Panthers at Falcons, and Jets versus Dolphins. That is attributable to the Action Network.
Just so you know, Joseph Popolo, the U.S. ambassador to the Netherlands, was runner-up for Ambassador of the Year, in case you were asking. All right.
It was robbed.
But Eby, Eby had the votes. So this is the trend that happens twice a season, every season, sometimes 3 times a season. Here we go. In the Mike Tomlin era, the Steelers are 62%, 69, 42, and 5. ATS is underdogs. This is through Bet Labs and John Ewing. They both cited this, including 23, 9, and 3 at 72% ATS as home dogs. The Steelers are plus 3.5 versus the Ravens this Sunday night. And here you go. This is the stat I was alluding to. Since 2018, the Ravens are 20-5 ATS as a dog. It's the second best in the NFL in that span. But as favorites, they're only 37-41.
The next trend helps our Vikings silver medal game. That's because their opponent, the Packers, are historically bad against the spread this season. Entering week 18, the Packers are 6-10 against the spread. That's their worst against the spread start through 16 games in decades. How many decades? It's been a while. I guess 1 decade would be a lot. They're also 1-8 against the spread versus 500 or worse teams in December. That trend, courtesy of Action Network.
And our next trend is also good for our silver game. The Vikings are covering big as a streaking team. Since December 1st, the Vikings are 4-0 straight up against the spread. So straight up and against the spread. And also first half against the spread, covering by 5.8 points per game. And as if that weren't enough, they're 9-4-1 ATS, covering by about 4.6 points per game the last 14 games. That trend, courtesy of the Action Network.
Also from the Action Network, divisional matchups in Week 18 tighten the lines and your ATS outcomes. Week 18 analysis from past years shows that home dogs in divisional games cover at a higher rate than the national average. That's because divisional familiarity compresses performance variance. Pull that into your Ravens-Steelers game, your Bears-Lions game, your Panthers-Bucks.
The next trend is the chocolate trend of the week. That's in favor of Jeff Google because Mr. Google, he likes chocolate and always takes the chalk. Always takes the chalk. In this case, it may be the right move. Favorites are 61-16 straight up. That's 79.2% since week 13. How about this, guys? Favorites of 6. Watch out, Jeff. Don't get too excited about this. Favorites of 6 or more points are 29-1 straight up over that same span. That's courtesy of Action Network. Jeff Google also likes action.
The aforementioned Packers at Vikings minus 6.5, our silver game. Here we go. First, the Packers have nothing to play for, so expect them to be resting heavy, something Jeff Google also likes doing. This is the foundation to taking the Vikings, led by Stuckey and reinforced by other shows. The Packers are locked into the 7th seed and have no incentives to risk playing anyone. Expect Clayton Tune to be starting at QB, and Stuckey explicitly frames this as a practice squad offensive scenario for the Packers. Also, Minnesota's defense is peaking late in the season. They're described as elite over the last 6 weeks. Green Bay's offense, on the other hand, even when they're healthy, they've struggled against defenses with backups, and their outlooks, right, with the backups that are going to play this week, their outlook worsens. Also, the Packers defense has fallen apart since week 11, ranking 26th in EPA per play with multiple injuries reported. Third reason to take the Vikings. They are still motivated to finish strong. Unlike Green Bay, Minnesota is framed as motivated to close the season, with Stuckey saying that the coaching staff has intent here, the defensive effort is there, and there's a desire to avoid a Week 18 showing at home, given their hot streak right now. He states plainly that 13 points may be enough to cover, and anything under a TD is still playable in his mind. Market support across all the shows for Minnesota at this number. Sharper Square lists the Vikings at -6.5 as their like. Also showing that there was interest at -5.5. Bet on it. Kelly in Vegas, her best bet was Minnesota -7. And finally, Action Network, Stuckey loved this game and included it in his six-pack at -6.5. There is a dissenting opinion from Drew Densick and Andy Molitor at the Deep Dive Show. They're on Green Bay +7.5. Their whole case is there's going to be backup QBs on both sides, making separation difficult. So the low total, which is right now in the mid-30s, compresses scoring margin, and so points are going to be a premium. They like the points here. Timestamps, if you want to get this breakdown directly from the horse's mouths. Action Network, 22 minutes, 14 seconds. Bet on it, 31 minutes, 48 seconds. The Sharper Square Show covers it at 44 minutes, 2 seconds. If you want to hear that dissenting opinion, Deep Dive, 1 hour, 11 minutes, 30 seconds.
One of our bronze medal games, the second highest bronze game, as a matter of fact, is the Browns at the Bengals. The pick is the Bengals -7.5. The first handicapping highlight theme is Cleveland's defense will feature Myles Garrett, but not full structural integrity. So obviously Myles Garrett is expected to play. He's chasing that single season sack record, but multiple shows emphasize that Cleveland is unlikely to deploy its full defensive rotations. And the defensive cohesion, especially on the back end of the defense, is fragile without full personnel continuity. Analysts repeatedly note that one elite edge rusher does not equal a complete defensive unit, particularly across 4 quarters. The second theme is that Garrett's aggression increases volatility, but not stability. Garrett's record pursuit incentivizes aggressive pass rush angles, pin ears back behavior. And against Cincinnati, this will open scramble lanes, enhance draw and screening efficiency, and benefit quick passing where the Bengals excel. Third theme is that the Cleveland's offense cannot sustain drives or support the defense. This is the strongest and most consistent angle across all of our shows. The Browns offense is described as conservative, limited, and unable to generate sustained drives. The consequences of that, defense stays on the field too long, the field position consistently favors Cincinnati, and 1 or 2 failed series can quickly turn into separation. The fourth theme, Cincinnati's offensive profile, justifies laying a touchdown in this game. Across Action Network, Sharper Square, and Bet on it, Cincinnati is framed as one of the few teams comfortable winning by margin, highly efficient on late downs, strong at converting red zone opportunities, and capable of sustaining scoring even against resistance. Finally, the last theme, motivation and game state strongly favor the Bengals. The Bengals are playing their starters, they're playing at home, and running a full offensive and defensive plan. Meanwhile, Cleveland's focused on individual milestones, Myles Garrett, of course, not team outcome, and they are unlikely to press offensively if they end up trailing in the game. One dissenting opinion, well, at least the dissenting opinion, some analysts note there's a backdoor risk if the Bengals pull their starters late, and Kyle Garrett's potential to create short fields early on. Timestamps, Action Network 2742, Sharper Square 3618, and Bet on it 4805.
Next handicapping highlight is of the Seahawks -1.5 at San Francisco. It was a bronze game. We have only 2 themes for this game. courtesy of Deep Dive and Bet on It podcast. The first one, Seattle's defense compresses San Francisco's offense. Seattle's defensive design prioritizes limiting explosive plays and forces opponents into longer drives. San Francisco is at best when creating explosive plays and staying ahead of the chains. When forced to sustain long drives, San Francisco's offense becomes less efficient, even if still competent. That favors Seattle. Second handicapping theme, market price reflects value in Seattle. The plus or minus 1.5 number implies Seattle's only slightly more likely to win, and home field is already accounted for. This is the pick the cleaner team spot, according to those podcasts, Deep Dive and Bet on It. There was a dissenting opinion from the Sharper Square podcast. They like the 49ers at -1 or pick 'em. They say that 49ers have a higher offensive ceiling and the home field advantage. There's a talent and upside argument, not necessarily a critique of Seattle. Timestamps Deep Dive, 1 hour and 8 minutes, 50 seconds. Bet on It, 35 minutes and 14 seconds. Sharper Square dissenting opinion at 41 minutes, 22 seconds.
Just something I should have pointed out too is this is the first episode of the season that I'm wearing the Sharp Squares logoed hoodie. So please adjust that into your algorithms at home, as I'm sure it's going to only positively impact our picks. Thanks to our production team, everyone behind the scenes that gets this show together for all of us. A special shout out to the ambassador and Mr. Roth here. Happy New Year to everyone again. And just a reminder, none of us are truly sharp. But this is your Sharp Squares podcast.
Good luck out there.